sound?
How's the sound?
Testing 1, 2. Hello. Coming live from Shack.
Either speaking to the mic or like at least speaking to that one.
Testing 1, 2. Is this live? Is this working? Yes, no? Hello? We could just keep going. As long as
You know what?
recording.
We can just keep going.
As long as it's recording.
It is definitely 100% recording,
Well, there we
but
go.
sometimes you just have to live in a world where that's happening. So, and also it's more of a, it's cool that you guys can come here and physically experience.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, let's give you guys a round of applause.
Whatever you did over there, it's working now. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So working. Okay, perfect. That's awesome. Okay. I'm not sure if this is, but we'll try this thing anyways. So yeah, just quick shout out to our sponsors in the Codex. They build digital products. So if you're building something on web or mobile, they start at just $25 an hour. They're based in Mexico, and they've done incredible work for folks in our community, like Presenta, like Side Pockets, or just one group of folks. Codex.com. This is not working. So, and then our other sponsors, Primero Negocios, and they help you get local customers. So think like digital marketing pros. Again, just fantastic folks. We're very grateful for them, and we'll include their link in the show notes and description. So to kick us off for our 100th episode on Silicon Zombies, where we have the best brains from the Bay to beyond, what we do is we demystify emerging technology. Hat tip to Peter for coming up with the phrase. And then we also empower our founders. So it's science, technology, innovation, venture capital, and also personal growth. So let's introduce our guest for today. We've got David Zhang from Technology Crossover Ventures. We've got Simon Lancaster, general partner at Omni Venture Labs. So super excited to have you guys here today. Thank you. So let's. Peter just doing all these. There's a flipping applause button in the audience. So this is just habit. Yeah. Later we'll have the.
Also, hi. For those who don't know me, I'm Peter. I do brand community management and help. I also love TikTok.
Yeah. And so today we're going to be talking about startup success, how to spot a winner, basically tips from 2 MVPs. So we're pretty fortunate to have both of these gentlemen with us today. So to kick things off, David, on the site for TCB, it says becoming is better than being. That's the tagline that you have. Give us a little bit of background on what this means to you.
Yeah, I don't know where I stole that from. It's an old quote. I think the essence of that is probably best captured in our philosophy as well. So the idea is stasis is the biggest enemy, good is the enemy, great. So the idea is, hey, value creation is always comes with growth. So growth is a good thing. I think experiencing a type of these as well, but in general, what do you think about you mentioned?
Beautiful. And the minimum check size is 15, I believe.
Yeah, so we invest in anything Series A and beyond.
Okay.
So generally, 10 to 15 million dollars on both sides.
Got it. By the way, early stage funder at Airbnb, some other rock stars too, some pretty cool stuff. Simon, who's the general partner at Omni, if you had to distill your investment philosophy or sort of company into one key quotes, what would you distill that into?
So we basically invest at the earliest possible stage, a little bit different from these guys. And I would say, we like to invest in founders before they leave their day jobs, or maybe a little bit more politically correct, in order for them to leave their jobs. And we really want to be the first. I want to hear your laughing, but we really want to be the first ones that deep tech founders are talking to and facilitating that transition into the entrepreneurial world, especially the career professionals that are solving the biggest pain points in their careers.
So you give them the confidence to leave Google, basically. Oh, kind of what happened?
I don't know. Is leading the job management or do you
That's a very loaded question in the VC world, and you will hear many controversial
personal experience.
many controversial superficial answers to that. And I would say for the most part, you can start creating and working on something before you leave, as long as it doesn't conflict with your day job. And then as soon as you're ready to leave, call us.
You're always be very helpful.
Okay.
So everybody can hear us.
Got it.
So David, you've seen a lot of folks know what to look for when it comes to success. I've heard success defined as keen insight plus capital plus execution. What have you found?
Well, I mean, so success in our view, I think success for investors and success for entrepreneurs is very different. In general, I think it's we try to make sure there's alignment. So I think from at a meta level, I think success is pushing your idea as an entrepreneur, your idea of what you need to practice in the world to the maximum potential. Right? And so in general, when that happens, value follows. So as an investor, you're aligned to that. It's a different way of saying maximizing value creation.
Yeah, but is there something that particularly where your spidey senses start tingling? You're like, wow, this is going to be a unicorn, be strategically valuable, we'll get involved.
Oh, actually, let me follow up to that. Because I'm assuming most of you guys are working in early stages. That is,
Well, 15 million check. Like DCD.
oh, shoot, okay. Well, then maybe maybe you guys are going to be different. So, anyway. Wow, this was a really good question. Doing so much build up. So, how much of the success of a company is the personality of the founder versus the market, the opportunity, that stuff?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm sure Simon's perspective is really interesting because at different stages you see things differently. Right? Everything is path dependent and involves. I do think, at least for us, we do think philosophically the founder is super important. And so we back primarily founder-backed CEOs. We're coming at a later stage. So we're looking at founders who have led storm, crossed the chasm, and they're going for business. And so we're looking at CEOs and founders who are like, hey, I'm going to try to get into pro-leagues. I wanted this company to be enjoying it right now. So the first company we ever back to Netflix. Wow. We're still doing pretty well.
How long was this back when Netflix was like a CD blog?
This was in the late 90s. Yeah, this was in the late 90s. This was pre-streaming.
This is before they were called like pickup. Remember when Netflix split?
This was very early in the
Wow.
I think you're referring to Quickster before.
What?
Quickster? Is that what we're referring to?
No one remembers what Netflix
I'm gonna nod.
before
Yes.
the internet.
Yes.
Before the internet. Before chat.
We'll get there.
Like,
Not yet.
I don't know what it is.
So yes, I would say same question. I'm glad you two are both paying attention.
What were you saying?
Yeah, just essentially like what do you see when a founder is particularly exceptional?
Yeah, really. So because we come in super early, we actually come in pre-product market fit, pre-traction.
Wow.
And founder is one of three of the main kind of legs of the school. So it is really important. Really similar, like we look for grit, having overcome a lot. And indications that they are willing to stick with it. Many times early stage founders, they don't yet know what it takes really to be an entrepreneur and a founder.
Right, and unless they're founders on the second or third time. I thought it was kind of interesting you mentioned Good to Great, because the book by Jim Collins, it shares that there's this common misunderstanding where that's really a charming, amazing founder that stands out and beats his or her chest and rallies the troops, like your Steve Jobs or Sam Walton but in reality, the folks that are really successful able to defer that praise to their team. They should get back to work.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? You're referring to like game show hosts versus technical savant. Like there are all kinds of different beliefs that we see. I would say, I mean, maybe just the tag on for what you said. Grid is the most important thing. So whatever you appear to be on your marketing persona, it really is at the end of the day. You know, entrepreneurship is tough, right? So the ability to tough things out and stay the course is important. I think the other two pillars, especially the sort of post product market fit stage where we look at things. The first is also the second element is being vision. Right? So you have a lot of grit, but you know at that point, you know, a founder needs to be able to see, have true foresight. Yeah, and are we going to see, hey, what is the world going to look like 18 months from now, 24 months from now? And this was Reed Hastings with SaaS streaming. You know, back to DVD days, you would have been crazy at that time to say, hey, you know, the world's going to shift to streaming. And he saw it, and he decided to say, hey, like, this is the number one most important thing. And this is what he said, you know, it's the most important thing that the entire firm needs to focus on right now. And as a founder, I'm willing to make that bet. And it all comes from a vision. Right? That vision doesn't just come from the gut. It comes from, you know, his hand on the pulse of the industry, knowing where it's going to go, understanding what that means for the firm to evolve, to grow, and to capture value. And the third thing is the ability to lead. I think it's super important. Right? So you're two gals and a pitch deck in the garage. It's very different from being a 200-person team, 1,000-person team. Leadership at the founder level is super important, right? So having that persona sometimes, motivating people,
like cheerleader almost.
like a cheerleader, but also in some ways to make people, you know, to empower the folks on your team to make tough decisions, right? And being the glue in the organization to steer going forward. That's very important because founders at that stage, right, you talk to later stage founders, a lot of the times we spend hiring, recruiting, right? And you're being that manager. Yeah. So it's capital allocator, it's visionary, it's manager, it's all different roles.
And raising capital too, which brings me to my next question. What drives you both as investors?
Curveball.
Oh, wow. Okay. Deep question. I got into being an investor and this as a full-time career because I really felt inspired to work with founders. I think founders, at the end of the day, are some of the most passionate people in the world. They can also get the biggest animals, but the thing about being investors, you kind of get to pick and choose.
Yeah.
And there's some selection bias there, but just, you know, you can wake up in the morning and say to yourself, well, yeah, I'm going to be inspired today. I'm going to be working with some incredible people that are changing the world. Yeah. Personal, but
No, I love that.
motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I think I kind of view investing as it's the most privileged expression of business. Right? So I kind of, when we think about aligning with founders, you know, founders are out there building products, services, businesses, and the idea of what a business is, in my view, the way I see it, it's generally the creation of products and services to improve, you know, our life is humanity with life, right? Like we're trying to improve the way we do things as
It's like a vehicle.
Yeah. So I'm being like, this is generalizing because there are a lot of businesses in the world too that are revenue strategy, right? So think about real estate in general. You know, if you're a big oil company or something like that might be a little bit different. But in technology, which is sort of where we all play, in general, it's about creating value. It's about, you know, aligning humanity with progress.
And it's so much cooler when technology is driving that growth, because otherwise you're using debt, which doesn't seem as innovative from a really like foundation is.
Yeah, I mean, in that the technology is about, I think the exciting part for me is about technology is about building, it's about creation, right? And non-technology types of businesses sometimes can be very, you know, predatory types, extraction types, and so forth. You know, extracting oil from the earth, like that's not really creating. That's right. But most of what technology is building, we're trying to do that.
And here's a fun question. This is funny, like, this always reminds me of like asking questions in college in front of like a classroom of other people. Very, very interesting. So earlier you mentioned something about grit, and I think this is a fun question to ask in 2023. I've seen the Silicon Valley culture change a lot. The basic statements and what most founders are saying, it started from hustle culture, and it went, I feel like we're kind of seeing a shift towards more work-life balance in the startup community, which is something I've never thought I'd actually conceive. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But is there a fine line between Brex and Klarna? And how do you how do you find it?
This is a
Personal question, or is it actually? Well, yeah, because this is actually something that I kind of I feel like I deal with, because usually for me, when I find myself either diving headfirst into something as long as it's interest, and then if I don't have interest, I burn out. Or
Peter wakes up at the stroke of noon, and it's just very common. It's hard life.
Yeah, I mean, I think if
Okay, I woke up at like 9:30 today. All right.
Press the applause button for that.
There we go. 9:38. World record. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I personally think this is where I appreciate that. I think you're passionate about what you do, and a lot of times for entrepreneurs, it's the life's work. It's a mission. It's generally around a mission, right? You don't really. A lot of entrepreneurs tell you they don't really see it as work. So as a result, the idea of burnout doesn't really exist. You're always on because you really care. That's the thing you love to do. Right? And so it's not very different from chefs or like athletes. And it's complicated.
Oh man, this is such a, we got a whole show on this topic, hustle. So I think like at the end of the day, the PC 2023 version of hustle is just doing what it takes, get the job done, wearing many hats. Interesting culturally. Recently we had a portfolio company in Berlin, and it's kind of the culture here in Silicon Valley is essentially what you were saying, like. It's okay for your work to be your hobby. Like I used to have a t-shirt that says, "Work is my hobby," and then a swear word. But like I think it really that's important. And if work is your hobby, and if you love it, doesn't mean you won't have time off. Doesn't mean you want time for your family. But I do think that's like an inherent way to avoid burnout. Is really just finding something you're really passionate about. And making sure that reinvigorates you instead of drains you.
So I think it might be helpful to do some quick bios. We kind of jumped the gun. Simon, you had a super impressive run at Apple. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, so I studied mechanical engineering at the University of Waterloo. I'm a tri-national, born in Portugal. Went to school in Canada, and just U.S. citizenship. And thank you. Yeah, I love diversity and multiculturalism, even though I have this white face, So yeah, I spent many years at Apple after doing internships at Google, Toyota, BlackBerry. Started out in 2009, rode the wave of Apple's success. Left in 2019, started angel investing, joined a startup. Took them from Series A to Series C as head of business development, and then decided to turn my hobby into my career, right? As we were saying, took my angel investing career, took my experience as a startup early employee, and melded that into what is now a company venture life. So we are, at the end of the day, a bootstrapped VC, I guess. And yeah, this is our first fund for investing in early stage deep tech, especially in areas of the manufacturing life cycle, from design engineering tools, automation robotics, and supply chain logistics.
So supply chain logistics is an interesting space. In fact, that's what we're innovating at Boardwalk. In fact, I've got a couple of my colleagues back over here. We'll dive into that in just a sec. But yeah, David, same question.
Yeah.
The background, please.
Yeah, maybe it's probably the pretty opposite from where you're coming from, Simon, so it's maybe an interesting contrast. I started off my career, I did like a short stint in startup actually. So, little 1.0 zero vision of real estate in Asia. I tried to make happen, it didn't work. Then I was in investment banking for a little bit too long. I was in Goldman Sachs. So I took the financial route. And then worked at a tech hedge fund for a few years. And I was doing global, technology investing as a public investor. So a lot of that is just, it's a completely different game from venture. And then I joined TCV company about 5 years ago now. And so we do, I think you mentioned earlier on, introduce us as crossover guys initially, so doing the stage this roots of how we started. But today we will invest in anything really opposite from what Simon is this pre-product market fit? We're definitely post-product market fit. But anything complementary. So anything post-product market fit towards Series A all the way to the public. That's what we'll do. And generally we'll avoid anything that's hardware. So we do a lot of software, we do a lot of typical marketplaces, super internet, fintech, and slowly try to go
Cool. So you've seen a lot of shifts in the market and trends. I mean, it's kind of inevitable that we talk about ChatGPT, but I think it's so innovative. I think it's pretty important stuff. What are you guys seeing from a vertical space? What's low-hanging fruit, and then where will we get as far as like personal AI assistance, maybe writing code or changing Excel, maybe like 6 to 12 months? What are you seeing with that?
Give a shout out to one of our portfolio companies that actually leverages ChatGPT and builds on it, Dister.com. So they are basically doing natural language programming, no programming. And so I think there's a lot of really interesting applications. Ultimately, I am a firm believer that ChatGPT is going to be almost a protocol, let's say, like HTTP, and that there's going to be an infinite number of applications that call either on ChatGPT or other AI infrastructure and for their specific application.
Right, but if these large language models are pulling from mass amounts of data, don't you think that Google would be better positioned to be that protocol rather than
so fundamentally, I'm a firm believer in the innovator's dilemma. The innovator's dilemma says that established corporations are inherently going to be slower to respond to new technologies because they have a massive vested interest in their current products and technologies. Google has been ahead in AI for a decade. There's no
DeepMind, for
with DeepMind, and there's no reason why. Actually, they are still ahead, but they just didn't move, didn't hit the ball because they just have so much revenue coming in from their existing core products. And this is where early stage startups have opportunities and they can move fast.
Google's, if they're doing about 100 billion in top line revenue each year, to kind of play devil's advocate side, don't you think that they could acquire those companies that are pushing the envelope and be able to either, hopefully not sponsor, but ideally integrate them?
So the Facebook strategy.
The Facebook.
Yeah, maybe I'll take the next slide just to push this conversation a little bit. And by the way, this is not necessarily my view. I'm kind of going with this. I'll say the Google argument is super interesting. I think what you're getting to, Simon, is compared to the classic innovator's dilemma, Google has a right to win, right? Because they sit at the top, probably the largest corpus of data that is unique to Google in the world. Right? Think about the moment you start your day when you're on search and when you're using your phone and anything at all that you do, Google has your data. And so they have data that everyone has. They have data that everyone doesn't. And so in some ways, if you think about the right to win, Google has that right to win. Can they execute? I think that's the question. In general, how we see anything I've analyzed the world, when innovators dilemma does happen, it's to all the points that Simon said. Also,
Quick question. For those of us who are not bringing this up, what's the
innovators dilemma? Yeah, you want to know that way.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, innovators dilemma is an established concept that basically says that incumbent leaders are so vested in their current revenue streams and their current business models that even if they know about potentially new business streams and business models, those are, they think, small compared to their current state
Oh, I see, like when Ford didn't want to invest in electric vehicles.
Right. You don't want to cannibalize your market. Yeah. But in this case, and maybe this is a great segue to that point, there's also a concept of counterposition, which is business strategy. That's something it's sort of makes us alive. And in Google's case, and this is a little bit dramatic, but one might argue that, like, all right, well, I don't want to be cannibalizing my cash cow to go invest in something that is competitive. In this case, I would argue that Google is probably seeing ChatGPT as directly competitive to their cash cow. So this is a now, right now. And so, and the question is, are they too far behind to play catch up or not? Right? And that comes down to the question of, are modern day large language models, how durable are they, and how far are they ahead? And I think there's a lot of debate on this.
I think
I see going there.
going back to the thing earlier, point about like voting for ChatGPT, I would love to know what college application essays are like now, because they must all be incredible.
Or is that,
No, not
very similar.
no, I have faith. Yeah, I'm pretty sure ChatGPT could write 400 essays.
Inherently, what it's doing is it's making things easier. And as things get easier, they become more commoditized. So, like, what's going to happen to enterprise SaaS?
They're all very average. Like that's kind of one of the inherent aspects of ChatGPT, because it's a large language model. It is an average of all the information that's available. So
I think we have a question for the audience. Bro, do you want to?
Reverse ChatGPT.
Speak up.
Wait, yeah. So machine learning, if trained to a certain point, would be like you say things right. Essentially, what ChatGPT does is scrapes theater just like you said. Right? No, actually not permission. Without permission.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, like not like the government's trying to figure out like how to get compliance and so forth with licensing. So
say this on air.
well, this is really. So they're scraping books, they're scraping websites, and doing it, very similar to what we're trying to do. Just discern question, allow people to ask questions and get them get certain results.
It makes sense.
But here's the thing: is ChatGPT, what they do is they basically apply you can call it grammatical machine learning. It's basically gets rid of the does, the and, so forth, strips it out, keywords, then they insert something like, hey, how do I say hi to my neighbor? But that's one of their use cases on the website. Right. It's a hot topic right now.
Yep.
We should give some time.
Yep.
So maybe I'll put some there.
Let's see what it tastes like after barbecue.
So maybe I'll put some dimensions to this. So ChatGPT today is based off GPT 3.5 we call it, right? So somewhere between GPT 3 and 4. For those who don't, the simple way to think about it is every numerical increase is supposedly an exponential increase in the power of the machine. The machine gets a lot smaller every time you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. The rate limiter being compute in general and data. Right? So the more data you have and the more compute power you have, the more you can set up. And so I think the really interesting thing should be about the direction where this is heading. So a lot of people today, I think, argue this. Hey, well, actually, ChatGPT, I don't know how many people here have tried it. It's smart. It's not smarter than the average human being, right? But it's very confident and it makes a lot of
And it cannot be common.
And
I tried. I think comedians are the last person to automate. You cannot automate comedy.
Right. But here's the dimension, right? Like humans generally think very linearly. So the question that I think a lot of people are commenting now is, what happens when GPT-4 comes out? What happens when GPT-5 comes out? When that thing is 200 times smarter than GPT-3, what does that mean? Right? When the machine can start to textualize things as opposed to just regurgitate. I think that's sort of like where the forefront of all this greatest, and in my view, is
So didn't GitHub just release something that's like a coder assistant? Are you guys familiar with this? Copilot. 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 Can you explain what that is?
And use the least amount of jargon possible as a challenge.
yeah.
If you can do that, I'll play with you.
Okay, fair enough.
We have this challenge at Intel. If you can, if you can explain what quantum computing is, like to a 5-year-old, doesn't matter. Yeah, no, they actually do it really fast.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a abstract one, but it's sort of like the idea that you can write lines in automated fashion. So how much of that is fully automated versus how much of that is like 90% automated versus
Yeah, and there's, Kite actually recently closed doors. I think they had a similar thing where it's more like a code completion engine versus code creation.
Got it, but that mixed with voice to text, I mean, you even be typing on keys in the future? I mean, I know Peter
So,
loves this key.
I don't know about coding, but I have dreams, and one founder actually
Tell us about your dreams.
built a prototype of basically being able to talk to ChatGPT on the phone. That will put podcasters out of business. Because now you can.
I don't know, man. ChatGPT can't talk to you, so I feel like, well, why would you want to talk to him?
Instead, so I mean, podcasts are just regurgitations for the most part, regurgitations of existing.
I take offense to that.
Like,
we have.
Sir, we only regurgitate
I
50%.
opened the can.
No, we call it recycling.
But okay, but the concept is, like if you can talk, if you can have a conversation instead of just listening to a podcast, you can fine tune or not necessarily podcast, doing research, etc. You can fine tune have like, information that is exactly what you're thinking.
Wait, so you're saying in the future we're gonna have a podcast that talks back to you?
Do you think that people are looking for the right answer all the time, or maybe do they want some kind of unique human
A conversation can be exploratory. It doesn't need to be, point blank.
So do you think we should be training AI to lie?
Yes.
Well, I think the scary thing is not about whether we're training AI to lie. The scary thing is if AI gets to the point where it can lie based on its own decision.
I mean, yeah, that's a really good point. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us, when we learned how to lie, we weren't trained. We found out that was a really easy way to get something or to not get punished.
And so one end of this argument,
That's not a C, that's a B. Come on.
okay, so one end of this argument is like, and this is sort of right at the beta today, is sort of like, again, being super simplistic. When AI reaches a point where the collective humanity of human beings are sort of matched by the machine, that's what you call AGI, sure, right? And so AGI is sort of like where this is all going. And the question of AGI then is, when that happens, it's very scary because a lot of us sitting here, we're like, oh shit, the machines are coming, it's Skynet, right? Or it's the Matrix at best. What do we do, and how does humanity react to it? Well, it gets in the Matrix, at least you're
Turn it on, turn it off.
but it's kind of how you're fighting them, right? And so then the real debate here is when the machines with the big I start to have consciousness or the ability to make decisions, for example. And the question is, how do you train these machines, or how do you build these machines to be able to be aligned with what humans want?
If we're coding that, can't we just turn that line
Well,
off?
that's the thing. They're not. We may not be coding that. The machines may be coding it themselves.
But there should be some kind of master code that controls what the machine is thinking, right?
So I think so. The big debate here is that the definition of the AGI means no, right? Because they are just as smart as we are. So the question is, how do you? So that's execution. If there's alignment between humans and AI, AGI, then it's great. And the AGI, the machines will never be, racist. They'll never harbor, evil thoughts, stuff like that. But it's hard to imagine. Right? Just look at humans.
Peter's got something to say.
No, I was going to say, could you, I I caught 20% of that conversation. Does that mean that they're going to? Wait, no, so my question is, does that mean they're trying to kill us? They're going to hang out with us? What does that mean?
So I think what's really scary is we go beyond AGI, sorry, this is getting me talk, but you go beyond AGI, that's a state where machines become smarter than collective intelligence of humanity, and that's what we call super intelligence.
So then why don't we combine humans with artificial intelligence to become cyborgs, I guess?
That's actually, I mean, that's it's a completely different, yeah, it's a whole branch of whole different argument. So it's great actually. I love it.
Yeah.
This is what happens when we talk about AI.
So we got a 10 minutes left. Always like to make sure that we're being valuable to the guests here, but also making sure that the zombie community can ask interesting questions to these folks as well. So does anybody have a question that they want to ask these early stage and later stage investors? Yes. We're going to run it back. Give you this here.
So I'm a science fan, and I'm also a fan of humanity. But as I see it, we are on a trajectory to just merge with whatever intelligence we are creating. And I'm not so afraid of others, but you guys are kind of matrix and ex machina, and all sorts of weird things happening here. Is there an optimistic scenario where we, I can see that also we can, if you have consciousness, you have the discussion that we had on Star Trek. So at which point are you going to make them see them as beings?
The utopian scenario.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's right. I actually used to see it that way, to be honest myself too, right? That's why otherwise I'd be running the hills. The center of the debate is sort of like this bull and bear case. And so the very dark scenario is the one that I painted. The bull scenario is the way I would frame it is, think about, I use examples, think about humanity before they were calculators, right? And people are like, oh yeah, calculator came out seeing that shit, like, what's going to happen? The machines are smarter than us. And it's not dependent. Like, it's really tough to, at the end of the day, it's very difficult to tell where all this goes. I think I am generally bought into this concept of there is alignment between, us and technology, and that's generally been the case around most of humanity. Then what really happens, just as every form factor changes happens, right? Cloud, computing, mobile, internet, before that, or, just the founding of silicon, it's, what really happens is the marginal cost of production of resources goes down, which is dramatic economic growth. Right, it's economic growth, and then you power that by the ability to generate things 10 times, 20 times more powerful, 30 times more powerful. And then plus of capital, generally speaking, that does propel humanity forward. Right? You're going to unlock use cases of things. There's going to be an improvement of things that we're doing today in a way that we can't fathom today, just like before. The internet came along, but it wasn't until the iPhone was invented in 2007, when then later on we're able to understand that, hey, having a personal computer in your pocket is so powerful. We depend on this every day. One might already say we're cyborgs. Like, just depend on this all the time. It's not fused into our bodies. And if you said that to someone in 2005, they'd be like, shit. But today, like, no, this is great. And so I think that's where we go with this, my personal view, but I think you captured it exactly where it is. That's the point of the debate.
Right.
I love your question, by the way, and I have a little bit of a unconventional response to this. I personally don't believe in a utopian dystopian. This means that one person's utopia is someone else's dystopia. Case in point, before technology is ever changing. By ever changing, this means that there are going to be people who get the short end of the stick, but there also are going to be people who prosper.
Can't we make the stick longer for everybody?
Yeah, sure, why not? But we can do that, but that's,
Maybe I don't know, like put a tax on any kind of economic production that comes from AI and then spread that out. This is not the corporations.
I'm sure I'm confident in that, so if that works, fine. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what came to mind to me as well. Just economic disparity. I think there's a lot of thought and development that needs to be put in place for that to happen.
top of that, it's also like how willing are people going to adapt to the new needs of the sector? Like before 10 years ago, the idea of community managers existed. And now companies like Intel is hiring me to manage their communities. That is crazy to even fathom that being good at social media is actually a career path. What? Crazy. Thank you. Or if you want to look backwards a little bit longer, like early 80s, 90s, everything was hardware tech, engineering, electrical engineering. Now in early 2000s, software engineering is we grew up in the Bay Area. One time my dad was complaining to me how everyone's a software engineer and no one wants to build things with their hands. And I just called him a boomer. So some people, you just need to adapt.
In response to that, physical products are not going away anytime soon. We're going to need manufacturing.
Oh, I know that. I know.
Is this the
We
right time
need
to
chips.
Is this the right time to start talking about metaverse?
Yeah, why not? And actually, speaking of manufacturing process and automation, actually, yeah, where's JB? JB, you want to hear? We're going to put you on the spot around manufacturing space, automation.
Oh, we're doing a lot of work in unstructured data now. I'm trying to bring that out of emails and out of websites, and aligning that information up with transactional data and the enterprise. So that's what we do during the day. Just taking advantage of that type of information and making it actionable for business.
So in a big way, Apple,
The point solutions, JV, across
What's that?
the point solutions, that we do supply planning.
A lot of the work we've done is in trade planning, we've done work in tax, we've done work in procurement, and now we're doing a lot more in supply chain with our visibility. Not so much on the asset side, but on how things are changing over time and why we got there, as opposed to I've got this particular inventory or location. And then a lot of work in ESG, because there's a lot of unstructured data in that area, and that's kind of across market. So yeah, that's interesting. One of the things that we look at for early stage, I said, 3 pillars: trust as founder, proprietary defensible technology, and then massive TAM. For proprietary technology, most people think of IP and intellectual property, but actually, I've been thinking about massive data sets and unstructured data as, in fact, proprietary and kind of exclusive data that you could use to build really, really interesting tools or apps on top of. And in fact, that can also be considered proprietary, especially if it's massive and
Yeah, I totally agree with that. By the way, which company are you? Boardwalk Tech. What's that? Boardwalk Tech. Boardwalk Tech.
We'll add the link in the show notes. Yeah, we got a question in the back here. You want to come up?
Come on down.
So this is more of a simple question for you guys. Are there AI deals that you guys looked at that you wish you had invested in? And if the deal flow in AI not being quite so robust over the last few months or something, are there other deals that you saw and regret investing?
hopefully for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we've looked at a lot of things. So obviously, the space is super hot now. I will say, just given we're a little bit later stage, I think we have a bit more of a luxury of waiting. So in general, we talked about company flavors and solutions. I think for us, generalizing, we look at spaces or sectors or trends when they're a little bit past the first inning, right? And so what then happens with that is you're able to see winners emerge. You're able to see sort of winners and losers, and that's sort of when we come in because there's the strategy that we have necessitates that we're picking also companies, right? So then that maps to original part of the conversation where it's like, hey, what's a special founder? What's a special business? And so I think, it's easy to have a lot of FOMO in investing. For us. We're quite concentrated. As a firm, we'll make, 10, 20 investments a year tops. And so we're probably a little bit different for those venture firms that way. So FOMO actually doesn't really play a big part of it. I think we have duration and patience. But that's it. Oh yeah, FOMO. If you're missing out, yeah.
Really rose the word FOMO.
If you're missing out, someone else had asked me that earlier.
What about the joy of missing out? JOMO. So we're starting to wrap up here, but obviously we want to be valuable to you guys as well. So can you take a minute and share how the community can support what you're doing with Omni Venture Labs and TCB?
So we are always looking for the next founders. If you have an idea, if it relates to manufacturing or hard tech, give us a call. We're easy to find on LinkedIn, Omni Venture Labs. And
I have a solar powered flashlight.
in general, stay away from consumer products.
Great answer.
Wow.
There's always exceptions to the rule, though.
No, nothing much for me. I think it's the same principle. So we maybe go back home and start up this conversation. We generally gravitate towards great founders and great products. So, part of me here too is just trying to meet more people in the community and kind of understand other businesses. So, thanks for having me.
Sure. And just out of curiosity, what were the Brian Chesky, the Airbnb guys like? Can you give us on the story?
So personally on that is not so safe. But like, yeah, when we invested in Airbnb, that was our first investment was 2016.
Okay.
That was slightly before the time I joined. When I joined, so those who don't know this, we have invested in 200 companies, over 200 plus companies over almost a 30-year span. And 80 of them have gone public, so it's testament to our observation.
It's got to be like we've got like 1,000 almost.
Yeah. So, the time when I worked at Airbnb was when we did a purchase IPO. And I think I want to probably go these numbers out, but vast majority, I want to say 64, 65 out of 80 companies that were IPO, we doubled down at IPO.
Wow.
So that's I think it's also a very different strategy for us, right? IPO is the exit for us, IPO is the
And as to the success that you both have had in your careers, has it come in waves? Sort of fun. I know you're a big server, but has it come in waves, or is it more like a consistent, steady value add? And also, what contributed to the successes in your careers?
Okay. I think it's a bit of both. I think you need to keep pushing in a direction that you don't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel, but be consistent pushing. There's those circumstances in life where you get pushed to the deep end, and I like to say it's just selection bias, right? We're still here talking because something went right. So definitely, those tough situations in life are an opportunity. Definitely look and see them as an opportunity, and I've been able to see them as such and excel and progress over time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I figured it the same way. I think it's work is consistent, right? That's sort of the grit that we talked about, the hustle, and then milestones and outcomes are become a race, right? Those things are generally, I think there's a bit of luck involved in that, but it generates a lot of race for their bodies. So it's just a constant hustle, constant hard work, and that generates.
Great answer. Sandra, do you want to come up here and do the conscious conversations for us? Our friend Jules has this really cool deck of cards that we've been using to kind of dial it back to a little more unit from the technology.
I know you beat the.
can I present it to someone else? Do you want to read it to someone else?
You answer the question.
We didn't do this.
It's a stage.
Do you think that parallel universes exist? Why or why not? Answer.
Well, you can do quantity here if you want, Simon.
Okay.
I mean, hey, the answer is yes, just tell us why.
Yes.
Yeah, feel free to jump in if you have an insight.
Who here doesn't think
Can I
Carolyn
call an
University
empty audience member?
I don't know.
Yeah, I want this guy to answer it.
Okay. Actually, I believe
I think they definitely exist because there is just no way to prove that they don't exist. So that's one reason, and the second reason is I don't know if you guys have seen like the videos of like UFO going into the ocean released by Pentagon. How do you explain that without videos?
Yeah, dude, I think that was
A box?
I think that was an Oculus headset.
Maybe they exist in our heads.
I mean, okay, man. Yeah, I mean, we're bordering on religion. That question.
Oh,
Oh, really? We didn't do it last time.
oh.
Well, there is.
Yeah. There's our answer. While we do that, just want to do a quick shout out to
Yeah.
Okay. Can you put the audience
Codex and where the Gus check out online if you're looking to build products or get new customers. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you all for coming, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. For more best friends of the day, so take care of yourself and take care of each other. Thank you.
Well,